this image here, and again, I'm going to go look for the description.
Can you zoom it up, Bill?
I will in just a moment, Mark, as soon as I
Okay.
get the info for it. So
Okay.
this is, the model's name is Leslie Moore. The photographer is Yulia
Yulia
Penchenko.
Penchenko.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I'm
You're
really bad at this. Leslie
welcome.
does fashion and boudoir modeling and specializes, or sorry, Yulia specializes in portrait and boudoir. Now, I did ask the person who submitted it to send me a larger one, but I guess this is the largest they had. So I will zoom in with, oh, wow. I think that's actually 1-to-1 already. Let's go 3-to-1 and
There we
see what
go.
that looks like. Is that any better?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The it's a little bit pixelated because of the because I've zoomed it in. It's 3 times larger than the actual image size that they sent us. So I'll start by saying that it didn't look pixelated before we did that. Anyway, lovely image. Again, I really like the leading lines. The floorboards are, giving a great diagonal line across, and then her legs are running perpendicular to it. I like it. Um, Black and white really works for me. And I think the only negative thing I can see is the curtain hanging in the background is distracting me. I would have liked to have seen that, lifted up out of the way or at least straightened out so it didn't look like a hot mess. Mike, your thoughts?
A high impact image. It comes across very, very well. You immediately are drawn in. And I think part of that is the perspective, looking down and sort of her face catches your eye and the rest of her body just fades into the distance. So that's really well done. And the photographer, whether they thought they were shooting black and white in advance or not, took the time to put that material on the floor, which in fact gave us contrast. If her skin had been against that wood floor, she would have just disappeared into the floor. So they actually took the time to actually create contrast, and that's very much to their credit. So pose is great. The leading lines are great. Her toe just seems to somehow merge with that corner. I might have moved her toe just a little bit left or right, doesn't really matter. But that's really the only key thing. And of course, I'll echo your comment about the curtain on the floor. But the fact that there's material on the floor is good. It's just the other one that's distracting. But very well done. Model, photographer, lighting. The lighting's coming from the window, but there's enough fill to give her some dimension on both sides. So very, very successfully done.
Excellent. Good points. Lardell?
Yeah, this is a great image. Someone who shoots boudoir like I do, I like this. I like this image. The angle is great. The contrast is good. I don't typically shoot black and white for boudoir, but this one works. My own same thing. My only criticism is that curtain in the background. Just watching your backgrounds and what the camera's going to pick up. The other thing I do like is that the chair kind of, I don't want to say it's like a leading line, but it kind of, almost frames kind of like where she is with the two arms. I like that as well.
Excellent. Mark, your thoughts?
I love the perspective and it's on the diagonal. That for me works very well. I like how again it's in black and white and it's done very well. And how I like how the placement of the model was really thought out very well. It's very effective. Just for me is as a my personal opinion is the fabric. I would have either taken that out or add more of it. And add more curtain or something that matches the curtain that's on the wall. But I think overall it's very well done.
Excellent. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love this image. The highlights are just beautiful. Yulia, I believe most of her boudoir work is black and white, so she's very intentional with how she places everything. I do like the triangle in her right leg. I just wish I didn't lose her left arm. For boudoir, though, yes, as many triangles, as many feminine curves as you can give the image, the better the pose can be. I feel like this is a little bit more of an in the moment sort of pose. It's not quite so posy, triangles and stiffness everywhere because she's kind of lounging into the chair. So I don't mind that I don't see her left arm, but I feel like even if she just like was holding her shirt with it or, you know, holding her waist or her side, that would be my only critique. Everything else I love.
Awesome. Francis, your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like this image. I don't even find fault with the curtain in the top right. And I love how your sight starts off at the chair and then it flows down along her body, and the bouquet just makes it blur out as you move down her body. And it's got the triangles and curves. I can't find much fault with this image at all. It's really a great image.
Excellent. Okay, any closing comments before I move on? No?
I don't know if it was intentional or not. That little touch of hair on her forehead, that's la pièce de résistance for me.
Yeah, that really works for
It
me
works.
too. It's quite lovely. Okay, whoop. There we go. And that is image number 5. And oh, this is one of our panelists' image. Francis Chow is the photographer. The model is Hilary LeBlanc. Hilary's been modeling for about 5 years and modeled in Moncton, New Brunswick, and Toronto, Ontario before landing here in Ottawa. She's done 4 runway shows and been printed in a few magazines. And there we go. And I think I've got that zoomed at the right size. That's 1:1. I like this shot a lot, and the perspective, the point of view is actually quite lovely, and shows the length of her body. And I really like the fact that you're not seeing furrows on the forehead, because that's a typical problem in this from this angle. When you ask the model to look up at you from that laying position, you very often will get wrinkles on the forehead. Wonderfully done. And I think my only criticism is the loss of the elbow on the side. I would have cropped that just a little bit wider so you didn't lose the elbow. And when you're cropping, for me anyway, I either cut it all off, or don't cut any of it off. Taking just a piece of the elbow it bothers me visually from an artistic point of view. Again, there's no right and wrong in this stuff, and it really comes down to individual tastes and style and that kind of stuff. But I really love the angle and the perspective. The model's lovely. I think that's it. Mike, your thoughts?
What hits me that's really appealing here is the color pop. I mean, the bikini and the touch of pink in the lips essentially has a repetition pattern. You go from her lips to her bikini to the bottom, and so your eye travels through the photo, and it really draws you in. That's what really makes it attractive from my perspective. I agree with the lines on the forehead is something you normally get in this type of situation, and this particular model has managed to circumvent that. I probably would have taken that second arm and put that into the head as well. So give the picture a little bit more symmetry. Right now, her wrist on her left arm is just cutting into the material of the bikini and just interrupting that line. So that's a little distracting for me, but other than that, I probably would have turned this to a very symmetrical shot. I'm not as fussy about portions of elbows being cut, as long as you can see the arm kind of going out and in. It's to me, it's contained. But no, well done.
Excellent. Lordell, your thoughts?
It's a great photo. I love the perspective. My first thing that I'm drawn to is her eyes. Um, and then I feel like the brightness of her bikini kind of takes it away from that. Where I see the focus is her eyes, her lips, that being the main focus, and same with like the hand above her head. I would have tried to bring down the saturation or just work with the color a little bit, just so that it didn't draw it away so much. Um, but it's a great photo. It's a great pose. Like you said, the elbow, I mean, it can go either way. There's ways to fix it. You could bring it in, you could crop it back out a little bit further. That's just, that's up to Francis. But yeah, no, it's a great photo. I
Excellent.
just don't know where the focus is.
I'm going to let Mark take over, and I might come back to that point in a minute.
Yeah, no problem.
Mark?
Yeah, I echo with what you said, Bill and Mike, about the elbow. That for me for me it just really disturbs the symmetry. But I like the concept of her being on the ground. You don't really see that a lot. Just the concept really works for me. It's just for me is I always, if I always try to look directly at the eyes first. But I think the concept really works. It's just the elbow just bothers me. But the concept of her with this, I like the texture in this picture. It really works. Maybe have her other hand down a little bit further so that it doesn't her bathing suit doesn't cover it as much. But it's pretty. The concept just really works for me.
Awesome.
And I
Ashley, your
probably
thoughts?
just would have cloned out the part of her chest where the white. I would have just made it more uniform, and then probably with the shoulder where this near the strap. But other than that, in the elbow, it works for me.
Excellent. Ashley, your thoughts?
I like how clear her eyes are. I think the position is very creative, the angle is very creative, but those are both very difficult positions and angles. For me, the hand on her head, whatever is closest to the camera, will appear bigger. And for me, it kind of overpowers her face. Like there's a slight shadow from her arm towards her eyes, even though the eyes are still very crisp and clear. I don't know, maybe if her hand was placed a little more delicately or her elbow was a little bit more back, her face would be like closer to the frame and therefore stand out even more. And I would say then the last, because I get that she's kind of trying to make an S shape. I would emphasize that even more in her legs by lowering one and pointing the knee over the other leg a little more to emphasize more of that S shape continuing in the end of the frame. But those are my opinions.
Great points. Thank you. Francis, this is your photo. I don't know if we should let you critique it or not.
Yeah, no, but I appreciate all the points that were raised. I'm gonna try to. The bikini is very bright, and I could probably try to desaturate it a bit. And
Well,
I need to check the raw image to see if I did get her elbow or if that was
Yeah.
I just
Well,
cropped it in camera.
again, I would hate for you to go back and rework stuff you've already done. But the goal of these critiques is really just to help you to improve going
Mhm.
forward, right? In your future work, that maybe you would consider uh, a different approach to taking the photo. And you know what? Nothing says you can't just love it the way it is and continue to shoot the way you want. Um, we're not the oracles of photography. We're just a bunch of friends trying to help each other out. I really love the image, and I think it's great. And so there was a point I was going to come back to, and I've forgotten. Mark, you had mentioned something, and I said I was going to come back to it.
I think it was mine. I think it was when we were talking about the brightness of the bikini and moving away from the focus of the photo. It could have been something with that. I think you mentioned it after me.
Okay. I'm going to make a small adjustment here on my microphone.
Yeah.
And
Francis, it's a good attempt. Like, just keep exploring it. Even
Mm.
maybe have her elbow straight on the ground instead of her, in the air.
I mean, it's also something where you could actually bring that elbow further over her face where it's covering one side. Like there's different things you can play with there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
you,
as for the post, working with it in post, since we
Mhm.
can't shoot because of COVID,
Yeah.
we have an opportunity to kind of play with old images.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, your point about the color of the bathing suit, and you had touched on the fact that her eyes are really nice and bright and clear. She's got a lovely shade of lipstick on. Then she's got the pink halter top and the pink bikini. I think the image kind of draws your eyes down so that you appreciate it a little bit at a time. It's not something where you have to take in the whole image all at once. Your eye immediately goes to her eyes, and then you follow down the body line to appreciate the curve and the shape of the image.
Mhm.
It really is a lovely image, Francis. I wouldn't change a whole lot, except for the chunk of elbow that's missing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 And she's also a really good model too. I worked with her too.
Yeah, I've worked
Yeah.
with Hillary as well. She's a lovely girl. Okay. Um, any closing comments before I move on? Excellent. Mike, is that any better?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think this is
Another one of
another
mine.
one of Francis's shots. Um, yep. So the photographer is Francis Chow. The model is Ava Aman. And Ava stands for elegant and creative approach and experienced in runway and photo modeling. Whoop. And there we are. Sorry about the Blair Witch Project with all the things moving around, but okay. I think I like this image. I like the style. I like the environment. I love the model smile. It's a really nice image. The the composition is good. Yeah, no, I'm really liking it. The I'm guessing that this was a natural light. You're here, Francis, so I
Mhm.
get to
Yep.
ask
Yeah.
questions,
It
right?
was in the
This
backyard.
this was shot
My
with all
backyard.
natural light, no flash.
No flash. Yeah.
Okay.
Natural light.
And now I'm a flash kind of a guy, right? That's what appeals to me. I like that punchy contrast and the control that you get with the flash. Shooting in natural light, believe it or not, I find it a lot more challenging. So many photographers love natural light. I'm Because I can't control where the sun is and how it behaves. I like my strobes. I like my flashes, and uh, it seems her face is bright, but I think that that's probably in post production. You might have increased the exposure in around the facial features, but the rest of the image is pretty flat looking, right? So it pops, it stands out a little bit. Her face stands out from the rest of the image because the rest of the image is flatly lit and her face is much brighter. That's the only thing that I think is distracting, and only someone like me would notice it, right? It's because I shoot with flash and I like flash and all that kind of stuff. Um, I noticed that the background and the snow and all that stuff is flat. I don't think the average person would even pick up on it. It's a beautiful image. It really is. And I think most people would just say it's a great image and move on. On that happy note, I'm going to turn the mic over to Mike.
Thanks again.
There you go.
The image has some really good impact. Certainly the snow is kind of provides a beautiful backdrop in contrast to what she's wearing. And her expression is very pleasing, so it just draws you in. So it's a very, very pleasing image that has some good wow factor. The compositions followed the rule of thirds, which makes it sort of a classic. So there's not a lot I would change here. I mean, there's some distractions and some minor things I would do, but I've actually worked with this model, and I know she's not one who necessarily is easy to pose. She'll typically go from pose to pose to pose very quickly without a lot of direction. But what I try to do whenever possible is I try to get a straight line from the ankle right up to the face. So if this elbow, I would have moved back just a little bit just so that there was a straight line coming down here as opposed to that little
Oh, yeah.
thrust there.
Mhm.
So I just moved that elbow back a little bit, but you got to say, Ava, slow down. Listen for a minute, because otherwise she'll just do her magic.
Yeah.
The other thing I would do is probably, this is the type of detail that I do in real time. When I see something like this, I think, do I take the time to have her break her pose and pull that in and tuck it in, or do I fix it in post? This is one of the ones I would fix in post. I wouldn't bother to stop and fix it right now, because it's just, it intrudes on the cadence of the shoot. So, but other than that, sir, it's just very, very good. The background's kind of bright. Maybe dull that down a little bit, but well done. And I'm sure you had a good shoot, because she's a lovely model.
Excellent. Lord L, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a great photo. Like you guys have said, like I like the brightness on her face. It kind of punches her out of the photo, out of the background, out of the snow. I think it looks great. Exactly what Mike said. Post production, that little clone stamp there it's a nice and easy one, or whatever you like to use for that spot. The only thing I think it frames really well from the green tree to the right. I may have cropped it, but it's not that big of a deal. That's just more of a personal thing. I think it, I kept putting my hand up to the screen to see how it would look. I don't think it necessarily needs the left hand, especially with the dying branches and it kind of being beat up over there. Yeah, but I mean, like I like the warmth in the background. I like the focus. It's a great photo. There's not too much to pick apart on this one.
Excellent. Mark, your thoughts?
I like how the snow is not washed out and there's texture. That for me is one of my favorite parts. Though I find that background is distracting, and maybe have a little bit more color with her. You can even change the color of her shirt in Photoshop, and maybe add like some maybe red or blue or like yellow even.
Oh, the
But
monochromatic palette is
yeah,
not
I'm
used?
even black and white, but it's just for me the background just doesn't work for me.
Mhm.
But snow, I know snow is a pain to have in texture and not have it washed out, but this is really well. I love how the snow is not washed out. You see the texture. The bottom with the branches coming out of snow, I would have cloned that out. And maybe for me is I've seen a lot of with agencies they have their models tilt their head. That I find that jarring. Again, it's a personal opinion, but in the hands, I wouldn't have had her hand behind her head. Maybe that would have had it maybe on her hair.
Mhm.
Again, my opinion, but it's a good attempt.
Okay. Excellent. And Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I love the photo. This makes me wish I lived in a place that has snow. Like, I feel like if I stepped in there, I would feel the crunch of the snow underneath my feet. It's so warm and comforting. This to me, this isn't a fashion shot. This is a very candid moment. And I mean, I love her smile. She's a beautiful girl. I like the negative space in the triangle of her leg and her elbow. But I don't really see this as a fashion image. I see this more as a lifestyle, candid, and I love it. I think it's so charming.
Excellent. Excellent. Francis, would you like to comment?
Well, just that you can see where the light was coming, because this was taken in my backyard, so the house is casting a shadow, and you can see the snow is brighter a tiny bit
Yes, in
on
the
the right
background.
side. Yeah, that's so she's kind of sitting on the edge of where that shadow is
Okay,
falling.
so the face is naturally lit then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
You
thought
can see
maybe
that
you had
line.
brightened it up in Photoshop or in Lightroom after the fact. So she's right on the fringe of the shadow of the house, and her head is up above the shadow, and the sun's heading.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, she's a lovely girl, and it looks great. I thought that there was something, because she was um, flatly lit from the neck down. I thought that maybe you had brightened it in post. Are you feeling beat up yet?
No, I'm liking this. Oh, the
Awesome.
other thing I would mention is I got that fur at Value Village because a lot of people are getting rid of furs,
Yes.
and you can get a lot of hate
I,
publishing a photo with fur in it.
I love Value Village and thrift shops and auctions, estate auctions, and things like that. I've gone to get props. It's a great way of uh, upscaling, up and reusing.
Hmm.
Uh, Big fan, and we try not to put too much stuff in Mount Carp. Ashley may not get that joke. They have a dump here in Ottawa, just outside of Ottawa, in a town called Carp. And over the years, I've watched it grow from a hole in the ground to a new ski mountain that they're going to open up in a couple more years. Yeah, it's terrible. Um, Lovely shot. And the reason I asked about, are you feeling beat up, is because I think we have a couple more of your images to look at.
So
Yeah.
for our audience, one of the things I'll point out is several people talked about the background. As a photographer, if you're not sure about your background, one of the things you can try to do, and I don't know if the author had an opportunity, but with a ladder or a box or something, if they could get up a little bit higher, then the horizon essentially would have gone a little bit higher, and so that the snow would have been just up above her head, and you wouldn't see as much of that background. If you get up
Yeah.
higher, the snow becomes your background.
Hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Trying different angles. And again, when I shoot, I don't just take one shot. Like, I wouldn't pose a model and take one frame. I would take several from different angles. I'd be moving around and to try and hedge my bet, right? And increase the odds of getting a shot that I'm really happy with. And I'd encourage other photographers to do the same. Okay, I'm going to advance to the next photo. And
It's another one of mine.
this one, Francis, I'm going to let you introduce this so I don't have to break away and go look for the text file.
Oh, well, this is Arena Urarova. She's a very tall model. She's over 6 foot, and she has red hair. And we did a fall shoot. It's not Sanders Farm. There's another farm just south of Ottawa, and in the fall they have a pumpkin festival, and you can see a pumpkin in the side there. But I'll let you guys give me your opinion of it.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll go first since I've been doing it with the rest of them. I like the image. I love the color palette, the fall colors on the ground. Everything is great. And if you hadn't introduced the image, I wouldn't have guessed it was at a pumpkin patch or that it was a Halloween theme of any sort. It's a lovely photo, editorial style. Um, but I was going to say before you introduced it that I didn't understand the story that you were communicating with the image. The pumpkin was there, but it really didn't scream Halloween or harvest, or the theme of the image was escaping me. Um, but I like the model, I like the outfit, and maybe the branch coming in above, like at her head level, was would be something that bothers me. But more importantly was that I didn't understand the story behind the image, what you were trying to communicate with the shot. Mike, your thoughts?
It strikes me as a really good lifestyle image. The model stands out. I mean, she's on this white chair with a white blouse, the black coat makes some contrast. All of that is very different from the greenery behind her. So she stands out well. When I look at the photo, I kind of like the fact that the ground, the orange, and her hair kind of just tie these things together. But this kind of pumpkin, it looked like an afterthought. It's kind of like it's not quite in the photo, and I'd either crop it out or would have, arranged to not have it there at all. And this branch that's here has already been mentioned. Had the picture again been taken just a little bit higher, then what would have happened is that branch wouldn't have been intersecting her head. It would have just been above her head and framed it a little bit more. But no, she's looking away and out of the photo, so you're left to wonder what she's looking at. So it gives you an element of interest, as opposed to she's just looking right at you, and it's not a portrait. It's more of like I say, more of a lifestyle type thing that's going on.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Lordell, your thoughts?
Yeah, good photo. I like the colors. I'll kind of echo same as Mike said. I'd either bring that pumpkin all the way in or take it all the way out. It's just kind of not quite in, not quite out. But I mean, it's a good photo. My only maybe criticism was I probably would have brought the oranges up a little bit, just to emphasize it a little bit. The fall colors is what the story is about. Emphasize those for sure, and it's going to bring out her hair as well.
Okay, awesome. Mark, your thoughts?
I like the colors. Like with the others, the pumpkin, I would have taken that out. I would have probably had not have her leg covered by the branch and maybe the chair, because for me the pose on the chair doesn't really work for me. But again, my opinion, I maybe would like to see her lying on the ground with her orange hair on the grass, on the leaves, that, or have her lying on just not using it, not on the chair. It's just personal preference, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's a good attempt.
I do like the shot, but I wouldn't like reconfigure the whole. I wouldn't suggest that the photographer should abandon the chair and start and lay the model on the ground. Given
Yeah, but
what they were
that's just
trying
me
to
though.
achieve, I think they did a really
Yeah.
good job. Composition is great and stuff like that, but I don't know if I would. Francis is here, so he can answer to the criticism. For the rest of our audience, though, they're not able to voice their opinion or defend themselves. And I wouldn't want to suggest that this image wasn't good and that they should abandon the whole pose and setup in favor of another pose. Given what we've got to work with, looking for ways to improve this shot as opposed to creating a totally different shot.
Yeah, but that's. I'm not saying that's not a good or bad shot.
It's
I think
okay.
the chair works. I mean, she could have just been a little bit more on like a 45 or a little bit to one side.
Mhm.
That could have made it look a little bit,
Okay.
I don't want to say nicer because it's a good photo.
Yeah.
We're really nitpicking on tiny things here.
Well, that's because Francis
yeah.
is here and we're waiting for him
Yeah.
to defend himself.
Yeah.
So I think we'll move along. Ashley,
Yeah,
what
I
are
think
your thoughts?
it's a great photo.
Yeah.
Or
Ashley?
we didn't get a comment.
Love the colors. I do love the colors. And for me, you can be photographed straight on sitting in a chair. I found it surprising when I heard how tall she was because I can't tell here. She slid further back in the chair. Her coat is quite large. So for me, when I'm posing straight on in a chair, the challenge is showing shape, showing form. So maybe if she had done a wide stance with her legs, or maybe if she turned herself sideways in the chair and maybe, draped her legs over the side, or if she just held the jacket differently or scooted herself closer to the edge. I would just I lose so much of her glorious height in this pose, but it's beautiful. It is still beautiful. I would agree that it is definitely more of a lifestyle feel. It's very casual, it's very in the moment, and you do look at her expression and where she's looking off and wonder what she was thinking about. I would find this such a playground of trying to get more creative with the whole straight on chair situation and see how I could do that with posing.
You're right. It's a tough angle to shoot at, and Francis did a great job. Francis, would you like to add anything to this?
No, I think there's a sister image to this though, where she is draped over the chair.
Absolutely.
I think it's the next one. So
I'm hoping we can move through the next one a little bit quicker. And on that note, I'm going to scoot to it. I think it's the next one. There we are.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, this one works better.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So again, we know that's Francis Chow's photo, and the model is, I'm sorry,
Arena Urova. Arena. Yeah.
Arena.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I don't pronounce her
gorgeous
last name
photo. I
very
love
often.
this. The colors, the vibrancy, it's very impactful. Again, you have a thing about elbows. You like cutting them off. That's the only criticism I have for this photo. It's absolutely gorgeous. Michael, your thoughts?
I look at it and go, wow, and I even noticed the elbow. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I something about the pose is very different, so it draws you in. It's very nice. I love how the black background of her jacket contrasts with the chair. So the dimensions of the chair essentially at a focal point as well. So it draws you a little bit away from the model, but the model and the chair are kind of a unit here. The leaves at the bottom act as a beautiful base. And again, I love the color of her hair. There's so few scattered leaves over here that kind of, tie in with these leaves over here. There's a little bit too much green at the top for me. So I might have kind of just right around there somewhere, maybe just drop that off so that the emphasis again was mostly on the model. The negative space doesn't seem to add anything to it. And her expression gives a little bit of a whimsical, like, oh, what's happening over there? Like I think I just heard something rustling in the bush. So it's got a little bit of a story to it. So very, very successful image. Very nice.
Excellent. Lordell, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Mike just killed it with pretty much everything I was gonna
Yep.
say. This is, I mean, if you compare the two images, this one is a much stronger image that tells more of a story. There's more color, there's more contrast. Like, I love this photo. I agree with Mike with the negative space up top. I don't think it really adds to the rest of the photo because the rest of it is so strong. But man, this is a good photo. I really like it.
If I can make one small point about the negative space, if you were going to submit this to a magazine for a magazine cover, that
Yeah.
negative space becomes a whole lot more important. So,
Absolutely.
you can always crop it down, but you can't put room back into a photo once it's been taken. So leaving a little bit of space around your model that you can crop in post-production is a good idea. But this would make an awesome magazine cover. I think it's a great shot. Ashley, your thoughts?
It's beautiful. It's so lush. I love her red hair and red lipstick with all of that green. It is just, the colors are perfection to me. I love her expression. If I had any suggestion whatsoever, it would be that the back of the chair is so delicate with its design. And I feel having the back of your hand showing against that, I mean, I still think it's beautiful like that, but if she wanted to have a delicate hand to pair with the delicate back of the chair, she could turn it so that the side was facing. But I love this image exactly the way it is.
Excellent point. And Francis?
Thanks for all the suggestions. I think this image is stronger than the other one as well. I like this image more. And they were taken, well, I think they were taken within a minute of each other. She basically turned the chair around and I went in closer. And yeah.
It's a wonderful shot. I really like it. All right. Any closing thoughts before I move to the next one?
I think you missed
like
Mark. Did you?
Like, what do you? For me, it's again the elbow, but it's having the chair back just works a lot better than the other shot because now you actually see the chair. But
Well,
it's again, this is more, has a lot more impact than the other image.
Absolutely. It's a lot more exciting,
top,
right? There's more
The
going
very
on in
top,
this
the
image.
little orange there, that I would have cloned out. But other
Yeah.
than that, it's very well done.
Excellent. And anyone else? Okay, again, I'm just checking the time, guys, and we are now coming up at 9:30, so we're an hour and a half into our 30-minute review, and that's okay. Again, I will, because we're recording it and we're not live, we have the luxury that I could cut it again here and go forward. But I will admit that at this point, we're out of submitted photos. Now we're into the photographer's photos, as you might have noticed, panelist photos. This is Francis's stuff.
There's a couple more from Ashley.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah, because we had
Sorry,
inserted
I thought mine were after yours, Francis. I didn't realize that.
And did you get the one that I sent you right before logging in, Francis, of the red dress?
Yeah, and I sent it to Bill.
Oh, sure. Now it'll be up to me whether I got it into the set or not. Okay, let's see what's next.